Hey everybody, it's about 2:30 in the morning here on the East Coast, so it's technically TGIF. I'm still awake, haven't been able to wind down to go to sleep yet. I have to be up about 6:15 for work. So it looks like I'm not gonna get too much sleep tonight. Me and Kalua, she's sitting over here hanging out with me, keeping me company. I have a nice warm cup of tea in my Tinkerbell mug. Um, my mom always says, nice good cup of tea, it'll cure anything. Anytime we had a conversation or we weren't feeling well, everything was always about a cup of tea. Um, I've had some people ask me some questions actually regarding me, and I wasn't really sure how to go about answering them. If I wanted to answer each one individually and personally. But I think if I put it out here, since I can't sleep anyways, then whoever may be asking or thinking the same question someone else is, then maybe I can possibly answer it. And if anyone else has any other questions or wants to know something, please feel free, to let me know. So a couple of people have asked me where I'm from. Was born and raised in Chicago, just a suburb outside of Chicago, just outside basically of O'Hare Airport. So I grew up in suburbia, born and raised in the same house. I lived in the same house my whole life, well, up until I moved out. I am still friends with all the kids that grew up on the same block. We still all communicate. So, yeah, it was a great town that I grew up in. It was a safe place back in the day where people left their doors open, their windows opened, and kids just went out to play in the morning and they didn't come back till late at night. Believe it or not, we used to have times like that. Where your kids could disappear for 3-4 hours and we wouldn't even think twice. They were down the street playing with the neighbors or off at the park riding their bikes, and nowadays it's a very scary world out there. So basically I was born and raised in Chicago, and I moved to New York State. I've been here, it'll actually be 10 years next month that I've been out here. It's different. It's not Chicago. There's pros and cons, and I think that's no matter where you live. There's always pros and cons. I'm a big water person. I love the water. I love to swim. Anything to do with water, I'm so totally there. I spent a lot of my younger years into my early teens in Europe. My mom was born and raised in England, just outside of London, in a very small town, just very close to the ocean side, a very pretty, beautiful place to see. I was very fortunate. I spent a lot of time in Europe, Paris, France. I traveled a lot with my parents, but my mom's entire family was in England, so she had nobody in the States. My mom was actually a war bride and came over to America. She married my dad, which was a GI, and he purchased a house just in Illinois, just outside O'Hare Airport, and that was the house that all 5 of us were born and raised, and so be it. Yeah, so I've been out in New York State for 10 years now. I have actually, when I moved out here, I started a position, and I've been in the same position the entire 10 years I've been out here. The company I worked for prior to moving out here, I had been with for a long period of time too. So There's a lot of wonderful things out here. I must say, it's funny because when people hear, where do you live? And, you know, if I say New York, they're like, New York, ew. I'm not in the city. I'm in New York State. And New York State is an absolutely beautiful place, especially this time of the year when all the leaves are changing. It's, if you have a chance, look it up, Google it. Google Hudson Valley, New York, and it's amazing. People come from all different states just to come to get apples here, to come look at the scenery, because we have the mountains all around us, because we're down in a valley. It's pretty cool. It really is. So, New York, yes, it's very expensive to live here. And they say that if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Well, yeah, let's say I'm just one of those people that goes paycheck to paycheck like most people do. Anyway, so yeah, so I've been out here for 10 years now. I have a lot of different hobbies. I was asked what kind of hobbies did I have. My hobbies pretty much include, when I have time, doing arts and crafts. Like I said, I love anything to do with water. I believe it or not, some of you might laugh, but I am a gearhead, meaning that I am a total into cars kind of girl. I was raised with brothers that drag raced. Now, I'm not talking circle tracks. I'm talking quarter-mile drag strips. So I literally have, it's a joke that we all say that I have oil in my veins. I love to be pretty and smell nice and be all make-upped, but at the same time, you'll catch me under the hood of a car, wrenching away. And that's something I'd like to share with all of you at some point, because my car is very special to me. I've had it for a long time, and I've done a lot of work on it, and it's pretty neat. And maybe there's some girls out there just like me that are gearheads and into cars, and if you're interested, say something down below, let me know. I'll be happy to take you for a ride in my car. It's street legal. That's all we're gonna say. Okay, so I was asked, why did I start my YouTube channel? Well, I started my YouTube channel on July 3rd of this past July, and I'm sorry, I have Kailua's laying on my leg, and I'm like, I can't feel my leg, I just need to move. Sorry, puppies. You're making mommy's leg fall asleep. So I've been at it for a couple of months now. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time with it. It was something that I really needed for myself. If somebody had asked me 2 months ago, would you ever do a YouTube video? Absolutely not. No way. Nope. I wouldn't want anything to do with it, although I watch YouTube videos. But for me to put myself out there on camera for the world? No way. Maybe with a paper bag over my head. That's just me. I've always been a very camera shy person. People that know that I'm doing this right now are so like, oh my God, no way. There's no way. That's just me. That's just how I've always been. So to do this was very difficult. But at the same time, I needed to find an outlet, a hobby, something to keep my mind from exploding. I've mentioned that I'm a single mom. My daughter is actually just turned 21 in June. She moved out. She had been with me. She was living down in another state, moved back up here with me You know, young ones testing the waters, seeing what they want to do in the world. But she's now living in a completely different state. She's actually closer to home back in Chicago than I am. She's doing well, and she's happy, and she's spreading her wings, and she's learning how to fly. And I can appreciate that. She actually moved out right around Halloween. So it's coming up on just a year of me being kind of an empty nester, except for Kalu, the puppy. So that was kind of difficult, and I was hurdling that. And then I got totally blindsided by something that, because I do have problems with depression and anxiety, in fact, it runs in the entire family. We all have high blood pressure, anxiety, depression. It was just, you know, some of us are worse than others. My depression goes up and down depending on situations. I tend to get to a point where I just put my head under the covers and I want nothing to do with anything, anyone, any place, anytime, anywhere. No food. I won't even eat. I'm sorry. I know I've mentioned in several of my videos, because people have asked, you know, what made me start YouTube and things like that. And like I said, I needed an outlet. I needed something to focus on because I was starting to fall into what I felt was going to be a very big depression episode. Last December that just passed, I usually take like 10 days off because I have tons of vacation time, and I just never take time off because I'm a workaholic. It's what I do. I stay busy. I work. You know, when you're living on a single income these days, it's not a very easy thing to do, especially in New York. So in December, I had just taken my vacation. I had just started my vacation. Actually, I started my vacation on the 16th of December. And on the 20th of December, I happened to have a doctor's appointment, and my mom happened to be in the hospital at the time. My mom was 88 years old, and she hadn't been feeling very well, and you know, we were just kind of taking one day at a time. She was in a nursing home. I had brought her out here to New York with me, and she had stayed with one sister and another sister and a brother. So we were all doing what we could to keep Mom at home and comfortable the best we could. But then one of my brothers passed away, who was a Vietnam vet, who passed away from Agent Orange. And when he passed away, my mom just kind of lost it. I think my parents kind of blamed themselves for my brother being in Vietnam, which he went in 65, 66. I was born in 66. So it was a very tough time for my family. Anyways, my mom, after my brother passed away, really just kind of went into her own world. Like I said, I think she blames herself for my brother enlisting in the Army. And so she started to deteriorate, and then she just got worse and worse. And to make a long story short, it just got to a point where she was just not eating, getting skinny, so on and so forth. So anyways, I had taken my vacation on the 16th of December. And on the 20th, I had a doctor's appointment. And I spoke to my mom every day. My mom was the kind of mom that it didn't matter how old I was. She was calling me constantly, wanting to know if I was okay. Always, always taking care of me. Now, I was the baby out of 5 children. I was spoiled. I got everything. And I'm not saying that to sound conceited or stuck up or anything like that, but I was, I had a place to put my head. My parents were very, very, very hard workers. But I was the baby of 5, and the babies usually tend to get spoiled a little bit. But my parents were absolutely wonderful people. My father passed away years ago. He had heart condition problems, and we ended up losing him. He actually passed away at home in my bedroom, actually. But anyways, on December 20th of this past year, I had called the hospital to check on my mom because she hadn't been feeling well. And the nurse said to me, "Your mom's sleeping." I said, "Don't wake her, let her rest, and I'll call her back. I'm in the parking lot. I have a doctor's appointment, and I'll call her back." And I said, if she wakes up, when she wakes up, and if I haven't called, please let her know that Beth called and I love her, and I'll talk to her in a little while. I proceeded to go into my doctor's appointment, and I got a phone call, and it was my sister, and I blocked the call because I was in the doctor's office and I didn't want to be rude, and I was in the middle of an examination. And then she called again, and I hit the mute button again because I felt like sometimes they'll call back home, will call me more than once because I'm in the mountains, and sometimes I get dropped calls. Sometimes I don't get great reception. So I blocked the call twice. And then when I got done with the doctor's appointment, I went out to my car, and I had a voicemail from my sister saying that my mom had just passed away. I'm sorry. That's really hard news to get when I live in New York State and home in Chicago, and I'm 12 and a half, 13-hour ride in a car, which I've made this trip many times. I ended up speaking to my sister, and my mom passed away. I was in total shock. What do? I'm 1,000 miles away from home. I have absolutely no family here whatsoever. I don't have a stitch of family here. My daughter's just moved out of my house, and now my mom's just passed away. I jumped in the car. I drove home. It was the longest ride of my life. Any other time I drove home, I was excited because it didn't matter how long the ride was. I would fly back and forth a lot, but I enjoyed the drive too. It was the longest ride of my life. I never thought in a million years that I would be driving to Chicago to see my mom the way I saw my mom. So, with all that being said, it's still very fresh for me. It's like 9 months. And so I reached out to YouTube to help me to maybe find other people that are dealing with what I'm dealing with. Or maybe I could find comfort, or someone could find comfort in knowing that they're not going through this alone. I feel that my whole world has been blown apart, and I struggle on a daily basis. I miss my mom more than anything in the world, and what I would do to have 5 more seconds to tell her I love her. I'm sorry, but this is part of me.
And I wanted you to understand that this is why I've been away for a few days. I've been just having a lot of difficulty dealing with this. I go in waves. My heart goes out to all of you who have spent this past 20 minutes with me if you made it through. If not, it's okay, I understand. But I do feel like I needed to get this off my chest. To those that you did watch, if you have comments, please leave them below. And if you didn't watch, it's okay. I understand, and I thank you. My love to all of you. And next time you see me, maybe there won't be no tears. Good night, everybody. And thank you for listening.